The impact of using Screendragon for ARC has been a one-stop shop consistency of ways of working that has enabled us to be the most efficient and profitable agency that we can be. Yes, so I'm Jennifer Bordelot from ARC Worldwide, headquartered in Chicago. I work for an agency that we do shopper and commerce work. So it's a wide range of really fast-paced day-long projects as well as year-long projects. So a nice wide mix of things. We have over 200 people at the agency that all are embedded into the software, from strategic users and planners all the way down to our production designers executing the tactics. I've been at the agency for 18 years, and this is our first foray into having a true PPM tool. So it's been really crucial and beneficial for our agency for the work that we do. We do tactics from motion and audio all the way, and then print, whether that's in-store print, billboard, in-store signage, that sort of thing. So a variety of tactics as well, from complex to simple. Before working with Screendragon, we used a lot of Excel-like objects, and there was a lot of inconsistency from client team to client team. We have, over 20 different clients, and there was a lot of this team does it this way and this team does it that way, and so it did not enable us to be very flexible in our resourcing and allowing for teams to move around in a very seamless way. And so Screendragon really helped us enforce a lot of consistency of ways of working and one source of truth. So I think that's the biggest improvement that we've had, is that someone can jump in and see the history of the project. They can see all the details of the project. They can see communication of the project. They can see example work from the proofing components and the workflows, all in one little link. And so they're not hunting around in Box, in Excel, in an email, in a chat, anything like that. If they can kind of jump in one spot and see all the information. From leadership, if someone in a leadership role wants to poke in and see what's happening in a project, or down to we just need a production designer or a copywriter to jump into a project and help out, they can see all of the history. One of the biggest changes in how we're working is the fact that we have resourcing built into the tool. Every single project that we do, we assign resources tied to the timeline within Screendragon, which allows us to take away the feelings of people being busy or not busy and really get to the detail of how busy are they. It's allowed also with our time off management. We are able to really project and get ahead of when people are out because we're seeing it directly into Screendragon. So we're able to solve those problems ahead of time and see where those capacity things are. It has reduced our need for freelance because, again, we're taking those feelings away, and the math is telling us whether someone's if a team needs more help or not, and we're able to poke at other teams really quickly because we can say, Johnny has 20% capacity. Look here, can we borrow him on another client? So that's been really impactful for our overall agency P&L across the board. It's also enabled us to onboard a client more effectively and efficiently because we kind of have some templates that we've built with our Screendragon team in order to just kind of here's the nuanced client information that we need, but we're ready to turn on a new client kind of within a day or so. And so that allows us to really jump right into new business really effectively. We also managed our new business programs within there. So from client-facing work to all the way down to award, submissions and new business, we're having our entire agency ways of working is embedded into Screendragon. We've had a lot of enhancements in the timeline component in particular through our life cycle of working with Screendragon, from something as simple as project duration or a task duration and the time allotted for that, from moving from a day as our minimum to hourly or minute. Some of those enhancements, especially in our world where we're in Shopper, things move very, very fast. Our timelines being able to be customized down to the hour was a really amazing enhancement that they pushed forward for us, as well as some of the nuanced ability to kind of organize the timelines in different ways and resourcing components. That has something that has greatly improved as our relationship with Screendragon in the past few years. And that has really been a game changer for how, in particular, in my role as project management lead, my team works. So another huge enhancement to our ways of working has been the reporting that Screendragon has innately in the system. We put all of our project detail into it very logically in how we scope with our clients. And so we were able to pull reports at any given moment and automated reports that come to us via email in order to define how many conceptual projects do we have, how many execution projects do we have, which scope bucket did that potentially come out of. And all of that reporting used to be very, very manual and time intensive for our operations team. And now we're able to pull that, quickly create graphs and dashboards of the details to get off to our clients, so that we're able to very quickly report on how we're burning on our work, not necessarily hours, but deliverable based utilization. And it has enabled us to quickly give them information to potentially, do we need to increase the scope due to the fact that we did more than what we were planning? And that has been a really beneficial part, especially for our operations and financial side of running the business. We have lots of hands-on support from our account team at Screendragon, whether that's just a quick email, actually reaching out to the IT support, but also weekly touch bases where we can just discuss, next things coming, different enhancements and that sort of thing, and really walking through. We don't have to figure it out. We have our account team from Screendragon to help solve it with us and kind of workshop, brainstorm different ideas to make what we even have even better. The hardest thing to replace that I don't believe many PPM tools can deliver in the way that we desire is our workflow and proofing. It's very complex and very customized that we've worked with the Screendragon team to build. And that means as we're reviewing work, which happens on the hour, not in days, it's very quick. We have a very clear cadence of who reviews first, second, third, and if that, then this, a very complex kind of web of different workflows that is very unique to Screendragon and is very hard to replicate on other systems. And that would be very hard for us to not have anymore. When we first adopted Screendragon, we did have a team that we had of test users, and they helped build the solution that we are now using. And from each department, we brought in different leads. They then have become our advocates to help kind of train their departments as time goes on. They're now, we work in a creative agency, so forcing teams to use systems is always, that initial shock, especially for a creative brain. But now you have the most creative brain saying, where is it in Screendragon? It needs to be in Screendragon. Get it in Screendragon so I can see the impact. And so, they won't do anything if the detail isn't listed in Screendragon, and can't imagine a world without that level of detail to manage their teams, whether they're, an EVP creative director, where, they've been used to not using Teams or using Post-its in the past of what their team members are working on. And now they can't go back. And so having those strong advocates to kind of voice from their department's view. It's one thing for me to say, this is really great. I'm a project manager, here, copywriter. This is why you should work this way. That doesn't always work. So we've always really relied on the voices of the people that helped build it with us, in order to make sure that they're able to advocate on our behalf. And that's been really, really great. So no team member at the entire agency, every single person is in the tool. So we haven't had any issue with, once they get past that first step, then they're sailing away. Previously, we were using Smartsheets for as much of our project management and communications as possible. It does not have the true PPM nature and resourcing components that we're using with Screendragon. Their routing tool is also extremely time intensive for those that are running the projects, as opposed to have some automation built in. And so it wasn't kind of a one-stop shop. There were a lot of Band-Aid solutions within other tools, Teams, emails, chats that were inconsistent within utilizing Smartsheets or any other tools. So Screendragon really gave us that hub for all information and one place to do it all. So when choosing Screendragon, we really needed to look holistically at every stage of how we would use a PPM tool, from scoping all the way down to reconciling and everything in between, and really creating a matrix of prioritization and making sure that a tool can kind of check every single box. And many PPM solutions can do great things in, maybe 5 of those boxes, but not all 10 that we deem as our prioritization. So that kind of really well-roundedness that Screendragon has really became a forefront and kind of a no-brainer of why to move forward with Screendragon. Any other agency that's considering Screendragon, I would say, please explore with the team. They have lots of amazing ideas of how to customize. It's not just an out of the box, this is what they provide to you. They'll listen to you and create things with you and make it work for your particular business. So their customization and their kind of partnership is ideal, and they're not going to just say it doesn't exist today. They're going to say, let's figure it out and let's put it in the next enhancement next quarter. So I would absolutely recommend agencies working with Screendragon for wide variety of agency work. It's not just the short-term, quick-term projects or the long-term projects. It's kind of everything in between works.